In this video, we're going to cover 6 surefire ways that you can increase your Facebook Marketplace sales. And obviously, this applies to shops as well. Now, whether you sell your own products on Facebook or you drop ship like I do, this video will help you make more money on the platform. Okay. And this isn't theory. These are actionable things that you can do today that will have a direct positive impact on your sales. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name's Bryan. I run an e-commerce company that does multiple 6 figures a year in profit, and I want to help you do the same. So the first thing that you can do to help increase your sales is something I talked about previously, and that's list better products. Now, this is a no-brainer, but most people understand that you need to do this. They don't necessarily understand the specifics of how, okay? And there's many ways to go about doing this, but a few that come to mind specifically are snipe other sellers, obviously. There's many ways to actually snipe other sellers. Test different products, test different niches on your own. Use your supplier site's algorithm as well as another one that comes to mind that's been working very, very well for me. So for example, and I don't recommend that you use Amazon, but for example, Amazon as an example, just like other websites, see your buying history. And as you start to buy more products, they'll suggest you certain products like that, right? And so when you're on a listing or you're making an order for a product, they typically suggest other products that are like it. And if that's a product that's selling well for you, or if that's a niche that's selling well for you, that's a really easy way. Amazon's literally telling you, hey, these are other products that people like, or these are other products that are above 4 stars, or whatever it is. And this is specifically just an Amazon example, but this applies to other websites as well that you can use as suppliers. So use their algorithm, right? They're suggesting you other products like that. And if you find a niche, if you find types of products that are working for you, use the algorithm on the site to find and list other similar products like it, okay? Now, I've done so many videos on like finding hot selling products and different methods that you can do it. They're all on this channel. So if you want other videos on this, I'm not going to go too in depth. I just kind of wanted to touch on it broadly because I'd be remiss if I didn't add that to this video because it's clearly one of the best ways to do it. Just check out the other videos on this channel. There are so many of them, okay? Now, the next one is one that, is a simple answer, but nobody wants to hear. And I repeat it every single time I do these videos, but it is, again, one of the most important things that you can do. So I want to outline it yet again, okay? That's list more products. The simple answer, the simple fact is most people don't list enough products. Now, whether they're lazy, whether they're scared that like Facebook's out to get them and they're not allowed to list that many products, or whatever the actual issue is, right? Like, or maybe they are and they're just not, like, whatever it is, right? Whatever the issue is, list more products. Okay. Now, I personally, I'm not just telling you to do this. I do this in my own business as well, right? Like, I list as many possible as I can on shops that my VA can do in a day, right? Because there's no limit on shops. Okay. On Facebook Marketplace personal accounts, there's a limit for 150 a day that you're allowed to list, right? So I list as close to 150 a day on personal marketplace accounts, right? My VA lists about 120 a day, sometimes 130, depending. And then that leaves me like 20, 30 listings to play with, which ties me into a next point that I'll make, which is you can find directly what customers are looking for through messages. So that's where the other 20, 30 listings come into play, right? So again, list as many products as you possibly can. List more products. It's a no-brainer. It'll get you more at-bats, more swings, and then obviously, it would be like having 3 strikes when you're taking a swing at the plate, right? Or an at-bat at the plate rather than getting like 20 strikes. Like, it's a no-brainer. You should take 20 strikes. And if Facebook's literally telling you 150 is the limit, yes, if you have a brand new account, you don't want to just like jump up to 150. Like, that goes without saying. But if you've been listing for a while, if you have a seasoned account that's been doing it for like a couple weeks to a month, you should be listing as close to 150 and slowly building up to that, okay? Easy ways to do this, obviously hire people. That's a no-brainer. I've covered other videos like hiring, why you should outsource, and how you can actually like go about doing that with like other software like Splashtop and Monitor. Like, I've covered that in other videos. Or simply use the bulk uploads feature in either ZDrop or FBM Fox. I personally use ZDrop. I love it. They're both good softwares. I don't have anything against either one. I just always built my business on ZDrop. I teach it in all my courses. I stuck with it. I still use it to this day, and it's great, right? But that's no knock on FBM Fox. A lot of people use that as well, or any of the other ones out there. They all work. But if they have a bulk upload feature, what you can do, and I've made other videos on this in the past, I'll try to drop one at the bottom of the description if you want to check it out after this video. But what you can basically do is, instead of sitting there and adding one at a time and then moving them over, you can add like 30 or 50 to the bulk uploader, have it start to bulk upload, go about your life, go out to lunch, go play golf 18 holes, whatever you want to do, and then come back. They'll all be up there, and you just have to verify, click through, obviously, like change the shipping around. And it's a much faster process once they're all up there with all the information ready to go, that you just have to verify, click publish, and then go, right? So it saves you a lot of time. The bulk feature is a no-brainer, and obviously you should be using it, whether it's your VA or you specifically, okay? Now, the next thing I want to touch on is being as responsive to messages as possible. Now, this goes without saying that you shouldn't just be sitting there all day ready to respond to messages, because that typically means that you're not scaling your business in other ways, but you still want to be as responsive to messages as possible. Now, I still personally do my own customer service on everything, literally. So for a while there, I had a VA that was doing it on Amazon, but that person doesn't do it on Amazon anymore. So I do all my customer service, and there's a reason for that, especially on Facebook Marketplace, right? And I've touched on in other videos. Just check out the channel. It's one of the more recent videos of like why you should have customer service templates ready to go. And that saves me so much time. I answer upwards of 100 messages every single day, and 90, well, maybe 80 of those are customer service templates that I just copy and paste pretty much. The other 20, I'm actually like engaging and writing a personal response. But typically that's because those people are reaching out about specific products or looking for something specific, right? So it's not difficult. Just have a system, have messages ready to roll, and obviously personalize them specifically to the certain people that are asking, right? Or the certain products. Now, as soon as I started taking customer service more seriously and being more responsive to messages, my sales drastically increased, okay? Now, I was doing other things as well, but there's a direct correlation there, and I promise you this will increase your sales, okay? Not only that, I suspect, I don't have any proof about this, but I suspect, on top of other things, that is one of the metrics that Facebook is measuring you by as a seller, right? Measuring your response rate in in Messenger or in Marketplace Messenger, right? Because there's Messenger, and then you have all your messages like personally, and then there's like if you click the very top one, it's like last message in Marketplace. All those, Facebook monitors your response rate. Again, I don't have any proof of this. This is all kind of like just subjective, what I think, but I've noticed, like, as I start taking customer service more seriously and being more responsive and helping people out, not only is it what we're about to talk about, but also I think Facebook measures that. So I think it helps you and ranks you higher with certain things in the algorithm, right? Again, just a guess, but I've seen that anecdotally in my business, okay? And this is over time. This is not just like a week or 2 week window. This is like multiple month window here, okay? Now, also on top of that, Facebook has a massive advantage with this, right? Because Facebook is the only platform where customers can literally message you and have a conversation with the seller in real time through a linked messenger app, right? Like on eBay, you have to message the seller if you're the buyer, and then wait usually almost a day for them to respond. Same thing with Amazon, right? And often sellers can be responsive and message you back within hours, but where else do you have active messenger where you can literally have a chat back and forth with the seller of the product, right? And this is a major advantage. So use it, right? Customers are in that buying mentality. And also depending on your specific price points, most purchases online in general, but especially when you can respond to them, is an advantage, because most of those purchases online are impulse buys, right? Or at least most of them tend to be. That means that if you're not responding to messages fairly quickly, you're literally giving sales away because your customers are no longer ready to buy, by the time you're ready to respond. If somebody's about to make an impulse purchase of $50 or $40 or whatever, and they have a quick question and you don't respond for 3 hours, chances are their impulsivity has shot down all the way. And they might still potentially buy, but they're not as likely to buy as they would if you responded within that first hour potentially, right? So be more responsive to messages. There's, some anecdotal kind of insights there that I think, but also Facebook is the only real-time messenger where you can have a messaging relationship back with buyer and seller. So use it. It's a massive advantage, okay? Or hire somebody to do it for you. Now, the next thing is be kind, professional, and accept returns. Now, this goes without saying. You should always be doing this in business, but this also has a direct positive impact on your sales on Marketplace, okay? Not only is it a good business practice, like I just said, but it slowly increases your seller rating, your metrics, and your reviews, okay? And this is a snowball effect, so get that snowball rolling, right? Your overall seller profiles, metrics, and reviews matter a lot, okay? It doesn't mean you can't sell in the beginning when you don't have any, right? You can, but as you build out more of a seasoned account with more sales more sales overall and also better ratings, customers will buy with more confidence on top of that, but also you're facilitating more trust on the marketplace, and they're going to send you more traffic. They're going to be more likely to send buyers to you and not think twice about it. And also, when buyers see your rating, they're not really going to think about it. They're just going to kind of impulse buy, right? Because they trust you. You have a long history of servicing customers and having good ratings. So it's just a no-brainer. They don't think about it as much. Whereas if you have like 9 ratings, for example, like you could still sell. Trust me, you could sell a lot. But like they're going to think a little bit more about that. So build that snowball, get it rolling. It's a no-brainer, right? Now, obviously, you should have a strong return policy and, kind responses to ready to go. And I've talked about that again in that same like customer service video. Check it out. It's one of the more recent ones on the channel. So have those ready to go. So it's not like you're like, slowly taking your time messaging back like something, specific every time. Have some good templates ready to go that are kind, courteous, so you can handle those problems. That goes without saying. But you still want to stay kind. You still want to stay professional and always accept returns within 30 days, right? Because if you don't accept returns, like I learned this the hard way a couple times, right? Even if it was like, something specific, like the buyer just had like a change of heart. And I was like, well, like I outlined exactly what the product was, all the specifications, all the dimensions of it are not only in the picture, but they're listed in the description, et cetera, et cetera. And the buyer just like, I don't want it anymore. A couple times I told customers, because I was just like in a bad mood dealing with other annoying customers. I was like, basically just like, go screw yourself. I didn't say that, but like, I was like, hey, like you're welcome to return it, but I don't cover return shipping. That's a mistake. Okay. I still do that every once in a while for some specific instances, but you should always accept returns. And even if you have to take the hit and like offer a prepaid return, if it's like, if it's a supplier where like they're not going to offer a prepaid return, like Amazon will, Walmart will, like there's plenty of them out there that do. So if you use those, and chances are you do use those, this isn't really an issue for you anyway, because you can always get prepaid returns. But you should still do prepaid returns, or at least have a kind, courteous buyer return policy within 30 days, because if you don't, the buyer's going to be pissed off and rate you bad, right? But also, like, if the buyer reports it to Facebook, they're going to win the claim anyway, hands down. So you might as well control what you can control. That's part of doing e-commerce and part of selling on the platform. And also, if you handle it right, it will increase your ratings and your metrics, which obviously, like I outlined, will help you sell better long term, okay? Now, the next tip is that when you find certain products and certain niches that work for you, double down on those and list more products like them, right? Like as you start building out your sales, and as you're doing this for more and more time, you have a massive advantage over other people, because you can see all your past sales. You can see all the things that were working for you. You can figure out what niches give you better profit margins or sell better or whatever, go down that rabbit hole, right? So double down on things that are working for you and list a lot more of that. Like when I say this to people, sometimes like they'll go out and they'll be like, okay, I listed 4 or 5 more products, just like no, list like 50, list 100 other products like that, or in that niche or whatever it is, right? Like there's no, like I said, you have 150 products a day to play with roughly. I wouldn't go up right to the 150 limit, but like maybe like 130, 140 is kind of getting close again. But like you have all these listings to play with. List more products like it. That's working for you, so double down. Okay. Also, a few pointers here that I kind of wanted to touch on is you can't just list things randomly off places like Amazon bestsellers and think that like you're going to have high profit margins, because a lot of people are doing that as well, and it's going to drive the competition's there, so it's going to drive the profit margins down if you're even making sales. And also, you can't do that, or like simple things like that. That's just an easy example for me to say, but like anything like that, right? Like going to Walmart and listing things on the homepage, or going to Home Depot and listing to things on the homepage. Like a lot of people are doing that because it's easy. So don't expect high profit margins if you do that, and don't expect a lot of sales, right? You also can't just go out and copy other people and snipe other people's listings and think that you're going to have, these massive results. Now, do not get me wrong. Sniping works, and other methods like this certainly work. I do them all the time, and I teach my VAs to do them, and that's how we find products, right? But ultimately, that's just one way to find products, so don't solely rely on it, okay? And it is not the best. It's not the best. At least for me in my business, I don't know. I don't have an attribution. I was going to make up a number there, full disclosure. I was going to say like 30% of my sales, but like there's no way I can actually say that. I have no idea. But like, yes, it's a great way to find hot selling products. And yes, it results in a good number of sales for me, but it is not even close to the best way that I find products specifically. So just keep that in mind, right? It is only one tool that you can use, okay? Also, keep in mind that like just because a listing is working for a seller, their listing, just like any algorithm, whether it's Facebook Marketplace or if it's YouTube or if it's like your Instagram post, like they might have a different trajectory for that specific listing, right? Meaning when they listed it, they immediately got a lot of traction, a lot of views, a lot of clicks, and that projected their trajectory up. So then obviously as they got more sales, Facebook saw that as a good product, started suggesting it to more people, and the snowball got rolling for them and that listing, right? You might be listing at a different time when there's potentially more competition, potentially not as many people on Marketplace looking for it, potentially like a number of other factors. There's so many variables here, and that's why different listings at different times can work differently. Or excuse me, the same listing at different times can work very differently, right? So just because another seller is selling a good product, yes, it's a good way and a good indicator that it could potentially work for you, but it's not a guarantee, right? So keep that in mind. I just kind of wanted to outline that. You can't solely rely on those two things or anything like them and think that like, hey, you're doing this, other people said that this is what's working, so like, something must be wrong, because you're only doing that. Use them all. There's so many different methods. Again, I've covered so many of them in other videos, right? And also, keep learning new ways to find products that sell. If you're this far into this video, that's obviously you, and you should always be trying to, improve and look for new methods to find hot selling products and improve your business as a whole, right? That's a no-brainer, and I applaud you for staying this long, right? But ultimately, testing for yourself is the best way, because what works for other people is not necessarily going to work for you, and vice versa. What works for you is not necessarily going to work for other people. That's why it's so important to list a lot so you can find this out for yourself, okay? And to this date, like we've talked about, like sniping or any of the other methods, like using the algorithms, and there's so many other methods. To this date, testing other things or testing things that I think are going to work, not just on a small scale of like 5 to 10 products, but like over a large scale, and seeing like over time what works in the data and in the sales and in like the real-time feedback on Facebook. That's still to this day, hands down, the best thing that works for me to find hot selling products and scale my business, okay? So implement that. That's what really works for me. Now, if you want a step-by-step blueprint to your own 6-figure dropshipping business on Facebook, Dropship Pro is linked directly in the description, okay? Now, I've also, like I said, created several other videos just like this with actionable tips that you can implement to help increase your Facebook sales, almost immediately, but especially over time, okay? You can check one of those out, one of the latest ones up in the right-hand corner right now. Now, I hope this video helps as much as I think it will. Remember to implement these things over the next weeks, next months, obviously, and I promise you, you will see the impact on your sales. See you in the next one.